Hello and welcome to Walford Weekly, the penultimate episode in Series 1 of EastEnders.
Just put your hand in my chest and torn out my heart.
Sorry, we've not finished it. We've got 2 more episodes left to air.
Not finished yet.
No, but
But Series 1 is coming to a close, isn't it? Series 1 of EastEnders.
What a fabulous series it's been.
It really has. The longest running series of any so far, I'd say.
So yes, lots going on this week. I actually don't have anything to moan about, which is comes to a surprise to some people, maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm going to say this week, really.
I think you had all your moaning when we were doing the quiz live on Sunday, and you were just making remarks in the background, your snarky asides every now and then. So you've all moaned out, and now you've done.
Yeah, got nothing to moan. I mean, there's still a few things I can moan about, so I will, but nothing major this week. So I'm just happy in the little Walford swing of things.
It's been a solid week, hasn't it? I mean, they've not experimented, so they've not put themselves up for judgment quite so much. And the stories have kind of moved along, but no reference at all to last week. It might as well not
the heist.
Yeah, it might as well not have even happened.
That is ridiculous. Again, it's EastEnders' biggest problem of aftermath. There's just doesn't have any, does it? Things happen and then it happens and then that's it.
There seems to be a lack of responsibility.
Very odd. So we're talking about the episodes that were broadcast in the UK between the 8th and 9th of June. You are Alex, the co-host. I am Ben, the host, if anyone needs to know. And we're starting off with the Mitchells, I think, this week.
Hello to any new listeners, by the way. I just want to throw that in.
Do you think there's new listeners?
I hope so.
The ratings are going down, but our listeners are going up. What's going on?
We're obviously doing a better job than EastEnders.
Don't know. But yeah, the Mitchells. Phil's horrible this week.
Yeah.
Pig. All I can say is he's a pig.
It didn't take long, did it? I mean, we said this last week. It didn't take long. He's back to his normal self. We just had a sniff, a hint of how horrible Phil was basically planning to be this week.
He called Caden that thing.
That thing. He refused to kind of acknowledge.
Change its nappy.
Yeah. He didn't want to have anything to do with him. No relation, no link whatsoever. I mean, a few people did say, I'm already on the social media. It's taken me, a minute to get into the show. A few people did say that, think if you were in that situation that you had to bring up someone else's kid, would you feel the same way? But I think people
Dennis, it wasn't his kid though. It's his son.
Yeah, but then he didn't sleep with Dennis Senior behind Phil's back.
No. And
also, I think a lot of people are forgetting that. Also, don't forget that Phil did ask Sharon whether she would be happy to bring up the kid he had with Denise whilst he was in hospital. So, and okay, Sharon did say no. So I suppose it's not a great example, but there is, there's some consideration surely needed here.
Yeah, it's just 2 weeks ago. There's never a love like a Mitchell. The best love in the world. They were together, and then this comes up all of a sudden. She takes Caden back and feels like, no, you have to choose me or him.
That line, there's never a love better than the Mitchell. And I think that's kind of haunted the writers now because they can't go back on it. And so they're now turning Sharon into this
They go back on everything else.
I know, but they're really turning Sharon into this kind of weak, submissive character. It's like she will do anything to fulfill. Oh, okay, she stood up to him saying, "Oh, no, but my baby is more important than you." But you just know that it's going to take Phil to forgive her before she'll move into the house. It won't be a case of that Phil will just have to tolerate it, and Sharon's like, "Well, you just have to get on with it. We're married. This is part of the relationship."
And also,
now.
Sharon as a character, you don't want the words weak.
No.
Drip. That's not Sharon.
It's not Sharon. What happened to the Sharon with the Adidas trainers running around the square looking
metal
for a
pole,
son, throwing things at objects at cars,
punching drug dealers in the face?
Yeah, that's the Sharon we remember. That's the Sharon from old. No offence, Letitia, but now she's just.
She's had a baby voice all week. Have you noticed? She's walking around like this coy little baby, like she's in the wrong. She's pandering to Phil.
Yeah, every time she speaks to someone, she always says "Oh, but you have to understand where Phil's coming from. You have to understand where Phil's coming from." But no, we don't, because the reason this all happened, let's go all the way back to last year when Keanu began. The reason she had this affair with Keanu was because Phil wasn't giving her any attention.
And he was just a thug and not loving, not gentle. And Keanu was all those things.
For which he hasn't apologised for. He's apologised for his potential hand at the death of Dennis. But even this week, he then kind of turned it around and said, well, you're the one who killed Dennis. So again, now passing the blame off that. So any kind of soft, moralistic idolism that Phil once had when he came back to the soap 3 weeks ago has just flushed down the toilet. And now we're meant to think, well, Sharon should fight for her man. Sharon should have to show that...
grovel at his feet.
Yeah, show that really it was her mistake. And that's taking away the whole... EastEnders is strong matriarchal female characters. There's not enough of them as there is. Ruby's the only one I could name right now. And which is great because Ruby is a fantastic character. But Sharon should also be there. Sharon should be the new Pat Butcher.
Yeah, she should. She
to
shouldn't
the
give a
Shirley
toss
Peggy.
what Phil's saying.
Yeah.
Her way or no way.
Absolutely.
Phil. And like the way how he turned it around, almost blaming her for the fact that Dennis died. And it's like, Phil, we all know you were on that boat and caused the crash in the first place.
Yeah.
And like everyone and all the residents of Albert Square don't seem to care that he caused this boat crash. Linda nearly died, but they're like, oh no, we'll sell it to sell the victim, even though he caused a boat crash.
And even Linda and Mick are now questioning whether they should accept the money from Phil because they've heard
dodgy money
on the grapevine, the only reference to last week, that the money he's got to buy the pub is a bit dodgy.
Yeah, it might be dodgy.
But Linda's a bit like, well, I need a drink, so we need to get out of here ASAP.
And it's also a bit weird that the casters are buying a flat. That's odd to me.
But I suppose it's only because Tina's not moving with them, and nor Shirley.
Okay.
So I suppose they only really need a flat between them.
There's no room for Johnny to come home to visit.
No room for Johnny. And his glittery jacket. That's something I was meant to mention last week. Is Tina and Shirley moving in together? Because they did have a flat together at one point, didn't they?
With the mum and Buster and stuff, didn't
they?
Yeah. Maybe that was Donna's old flat, wasn't it?
Right.
But I don't think they plan ahead for Tina. They just write a scene in every now and then.
Oh,
and
Tina's here. Oh, we better do something for her.
And there was also some interesting developments with Ian.
Yes. Well, his continued flirtatious behaviour towards Sharon is now beginning to be seen by others, namely Phil. And Phil's not very happy about it.
No.
Phil spotted it immediately and made a nice...
Sharon's dead to Phil now, so what should he care?
Oh, no, see, this is the thing.
Or does he care?
He does care, and that's the point, isn't it? You need to remember that, in a way, just to put the yin to the yang, the reason why Phil is behaving this way is because I think he still is a little bit guilt-stricken by it, and he doesn't really know how to put himself across to Sharon, and...
It's only been 30 years.
Yeah. And seeing Caden...
They still don't know each other.
No, they're still treading lightly around each other. But seeing Caden is a memory of Dennis that he doesn't want to remember. So I do, as much as I've just criticised Phil for the last 5 minutes, I do see it from his side.
Yeah, but that doesn't outweigh the pig-headed.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, but he's
still in the wrong.
He's been pig-headed because he can't portray his feelings in a...
He used to be able to when he was a young sprite.
Yeah, but times have changed. He's had to mature very quickly.
You know what we need? We need Kathy to sit Phil down.
Yeah.
Have a little chat around the table with Kath.
Kathy's had chats with Phil in the past, and it's kind of done him the world of good.
Yeah.
But going back to you saying about Ian, I don't think it's helped Sharon's cause very much that he knows that Ian is also baying for her affections too.
Do you think maybe... I know we don't want to talk about the Vic, but Phil said, I'm going to move into the Vic, not you, Sharon. How does that feel? While I'm still breathing, you're not going to get the Vic. So I suppose Sharon...
Who shot Phil, sorry?
Yeah, I suppose Sharon's going to go on a vendetta against Phil, and it's going to be Phil versus Sharon now. But will Ian step in and say, Sharon, I'll buy the Vic for you, and gazump Phil?
Do you think Ian's got the equity to buy
Yeah, but he might do that, try to impress Sharon.
He's just bought, though, don't forget, Max's half
so we could sell
for Walford East. We could sell that.
Yeah, behind Max's back.
Or we might have trouble getting the money up. That's all I'm thinking. Well, Max asked to buy the club. We're jumping forward a little bit. Max did ask to buy the club, his half back from Ian. Yeah, and so Ian refused. Ian said, no, you're not having it.
Maybe that's what happened with the Vic, because then she'll have Ian to thank, and then it will come out with about Dennis, and then... she'll feel betrayed by Ian. Maybe something like that.
Or there might be a mystery buyer for the Vic who has
Stacey.
Yes, who both Phil and Sharon has an equal hatred, and they basically decide that they need to work together in order to get this person out of the Vic, i.e. Chrissy Watts. I'm adamant. I've almost got OCD about the fact that it needs to be Chrissy Watts that moves into that Vic. It needs to be. Double underlined with red biro. Needs to be Chrissy Watts.
Well, you'll find out in September.
And there'll be nothing in between.
No. Right, so we're going to go on to our second subject, which is Karen, Mitch, and Billy.
Yeah.
The wonderful love triangle. Apparently, Mitch's soulmate in life is Karen, and she'll always come back to him no matter what.
Sorry, I didn't mean to let out such an audible groan.
Yeah, I mean, this was like the low of the week, I feel. The new catchphrase they've created this week.
I mean, they shoehorned. They didn't create, they shoehorned it. They said it twice in as many episodes.
Yeah, once to Keegan and once when Billy was being made fun of. What was it?
No.
What is it? It's
never too old, never too Taylor.
Oh, yeah, never too Taylor. What does that mean?
Well, it means you can't be too old for these mischievous hijinks that only a tailor can get up to, i.e. putting a bag of flour on the edge of a door and it falls on someone's face.
And also, Mitch did that, and Mitch is a baker. Yeah, so can he be too Taylor or is he too Baker?
Never too old, never too Baker.
Taylor Baker. Butcher Baker Taylor.
Yes, never too Baker, never too Mitch.
But yeah, Mitch is just... His pointless character is just shining through as a pointless character with these storylines.
Well, yeah.
It's like a love story which doesn't really make sense because...
But the story he came onto the soap to begin with is now the story that they've gone back to basically give him more longevity. I mean, there's nothing they can do with him in the salon because they kind of cut all ties with him and Denise now. There was sniffs of him and Denise, but that's gone now because she's with Jack. And he's got no chance against Jack, let's be honest.
Or Billy, apparently.
Well, Billy, apparently, according to Linda, of all people, maybe she's been chatting to Latina.
Well, Linda knows everything about everyone's packages because remember when she went to E20 night when she was drunk and she started shouting out about someone's package on the stage.
Oh, Ian's,
from Jane's.
Yeah. And when she soiled herself.
Yeah, so it's all, she knows it all.
Well, girls chat, don't they?
Well, apparently.
Over a bottle of wine.
She knows Mick's, Phil's, Grant's, Ian's,
well, I hope she should know
Billy's.
Yeah.
God.
All Linda cares about is Willie's. Her Google search history. Her Google search history must just be Willie's, penis and cock.
But apparently that's the main reason why Billy can get all the women in Walford.
Yeah, I know, which is a bit unfair of Billy, because Billy has got a soft character. He's a very kind... He's not like your typical Mitchell.
No.
He's not typical 101, the mould that every Mitchell needs to be, follow through. Billy is very thoughtful and considerate, and yes, has made some silly mistakes in his past, but he normally ultimately does it for the greater good or to help someone.
And it is interesting, like, Karen, of all characters, has men fighting over her.
Yeah.
Which, it's fine.
Men and women, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah, and that other Karen. She might pop up next, mightn't she?
It'll be a love square.
Take the swoop in and take her. But yeah,
like a vulture.
This sort of love triangle is just so meh to me. Because, like, Mitch...
It's only meh for me. Well, any story is meh for me because of Mitch. Because Mitch has no purpose.
No, he feels a bit plodded in. Like, he's living in that flat with them, but he's also not with her, but apparently he's loved her this whole time, and now he's fighting to get her back. But they've not been together for, 10 years more?
But he seems to... When he first came onto the soap, the character of Mitch, he wanted Karen back because he found out that Karen had... Money and a flat, and for me, I don't think anything's changed. I think the only reason Mitch wants to get back with Karen is because of...
Because she's not single anymore. Is that the only
reason? No, because of Bailey and
right.
the security of having this new family set up. He thinks he can do this...
Walk in
and him and Karen and Bailey can be this new family unit. So he can have a second chance because Chantelle and Keegan constantly remind him that he was never a good dad to them.
Yeah, but only last week she was moving away without him.
I mean, he
didn't care then, did he? Even he knew.
But no, but then even then he was belittling Billy, saying like, "Oh, moving away without you." Obviously, there's no love lost there. Then I just think it's such a shame because I really like Billy and Karen as a couple.
Yeah, lots of people don't, but I like them.
Do they not?
Yeah, lots of people online don't like them. But
I think it's because of Honey, isn't it? Everyone wants him with Honey.
No, I don't.
But I don't.
I think him and Karen work well together. And if we saw more of why they're together, it might help people. But they've got a lot in common. Mm-hmm. And they're two characters. They don't feel random together.
No, they're
like Kat and Kush did.
Yeah.
Or Jack and Denise.
They're lost, aren't they? They're kind of lost. They've never really known what way to go in life, and they need stability. And I think in this case, their stability is each other. Because they do, for me, work well as a team. And
better than Mitch.
Oh, God, 100%. But you couldn't trust Mitch not to next week get given £500 and go down to the bookies and just, end up in debt and then running away again.
He's not enough Taylor.
He's not. He's too Baker. He's too Baker for me. And I don't like Mitch Baker. I'm putting it in there
what about his little prank?
His stupid prank. His childlike prank.
Bernie liked it. We had Bernie 2 episodes in a row, by the way, with lines.
We had Habiba as well.
I know. It's all going off. And Rainie.
Overflowing with D-list. But
no Tina though. She's like the bottom of the barrel.
But more than made up with a touch of Jags. He rolled
Forgot
in.
about him, yeah. But yeah, Mitch embarrassed Billy in front of everyone basically, and that was his way of getting back at him for having a big willy. I'm not really sure what the whole deal was.
And I'm so upset that Mitch and Mick, Mick is basically standing up. Mick and Billy have been friends forever and ever and ever, and then Mitch comes along, and then it's like the Sharon, Michelle, Linda situation, isn't it? Linda and Sharon were great friends. Michelle comes along and Sharon drops her like a dodgy pound note. And now Mick's doing that to Billy.
Because Mick made fun of Billy in front of him. And it's like, oh, shut up, Mick.
Exactly.
You.
My opinion of Mick just went down.
He's obviously jealous too.
Maybe. I don't know, though.
You have to ask Linda. She's the only one that knows.
Do you remember Mick in his prison pyjamas?
Do you remember Mick when he was running around with Vincent? They were wearing leggings together, weren't they?
Exactly.
Oh,
yes. I don't think Danny Diane has anything to be jealous of.
Just need to ask Linda. She has all the intel on the on the resident.
Have a nice little chat about penises with Linda later.
But this love triangle, everything's continuing next week as well, everyone. So this is the first half of a week again. It's one of those weeks where next week is the same storyline.
The last week.
It is. The last week focuses on Mitch, Billy, and Karen. So take that.
What a high to end on.
Don't think it can be beaten. Right, where are we going next? We're off to play a game.
Well, talking about getting beaten, Ben. Are you ready to get beaten by my game?
Yes. Yeah, I'll take it.
So another new game. I'm experimenting, Ben.
Yeah, just before we go off air.
Yeah, just testing things out. Had quite a few people getting in touch saying they enjoyed Walford Community Sent Her.
I've seen one person.
One more than we got from other games.
That's true.
So that's a success. So let us know what you think.
Expect more of that.
Yeah. So, anything that gets one like gets played again. So any games you do enjoy, or if you have any game ideas of your own, do get in touch with us on our social media. We'll be more than happy to consider them. However, here is our new game. So It is called Walford Whodunit.
Ooh.
I've been experimenting with the name Walford Whodunit or East End Whodunit.
Whitney did it.
Well, she might have. Get ready. So I have a list of characters, all of whom
I've done it.
Have been killed on the soap either by being hit by a vehicle, bludgeoned by a blunt object, Billy, or being shot at.
Oh, one died by being shot.
Yes.
It's quite rare for EastEnders, that.
Yes. Well, you simply have to answer. When I give a character name, you simply have to answer with either hit for the car, bludgeoned for the blunt object, or shot if they've been shot. Hit, bludgeoned.
Like that.
Where you're using it. Bludgeoned or shot. Okay? And you have to get 15 right in 15 seconds.
You better say it quick then.
I will. It's quick fire. Okay. There'll be a noise to indicate when we complete 15 seconds.
Right.
So are you ready?
Yes.
You have to be prepared. It's going to come thick and fast, Ben.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
Billy. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Heather Trott.
Bludgeoned.
Emma Summerhays.
Hit.
Rowley.
Hit.
Saskia Duncan. Bludgeoned. Ray Kelly.
Shot.
Andy O'Brien.
Hit.
Lucy Brill.
Bludgeoned.
Danielle Jones.
Hit.
Oh.
Was that the last one? How many did I get?
That wasn't the last one. You got 8.
What?
I think I've given you not enough time. I think I should have maybe given you more time.
Do the rest. Go.
Let's do the rest. Here we go. Paul Truman.
Shot.
Yep. Reg Cox.
Wasn't Paul Truman stabbed? I don't know. Reg Cox. Bludgeoned?
Yep. Jack Dalton.
Don't know who that is.
He was shot. Tiffany Mitchell.
Hit.
Debbie Bates.
Hit.
Den Watts.
Bludgeoned.
Ooh, that was a trick one. Mel Owen.
Hit.
Yeah. Hunter Owen.
Shot.
Archie Mitchell.
Bludgeoned.
Danny Moon.
Shot.
Jamie Fowler.
Hit.
Tramp the Dog.
Hit.
Correct. You got 19 out of 20 on the extended version of the game.
Who was that person who died? Jack Walton.
Jack Dalton.
Yeah. How did he die?
What did I say? Hang on. Jack Dalton was shot. He was shot by Dennis Rickman.
Oh, how upsetting. Oh well.
So you
My
got
deaths, I did quite well then.
19 out of 20.
Very good.
Successful game?
Yeah, that's
Good.
fun.
Yeah, it's a fast game. You like the fast
Maybe a bit
ones.
more time, seeing as it took you like 40 seconds to read them out.
Well, when I practiced it, basically reading out the names, it took me about half a second to read each name. But then I didn't take into account that you need a bit of thinking time. So I should have given you about maybe 30 seconds.
Yes.
Anyway, you did very well.
Progress.
Yeah,
indeed. Death is my favourite subject. So.
I know it was, so I thought I'd cater to it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know how you got along. And that was Walford Whodunnit.
So we're moving on to Whitney now. Whitney, Gray, Chantelle.
Whitney Gray.
Bit of Sookie slips in. Interesting developments here with Gray and Chantelle. Not Chantelle, not her. Whitney and Gray. What was that noise?
That was my sandal.
That was your sandal.
Your
slider.
My sliders.
Yeah, weird. I mean, we all saw this coming. No one wanted it. Whitney's doing her usual thing of a man's there for trying to help her. She's murdered or killed or something happened to her.
Whitney's never murdered.
No, but like every time something happens to her, a man comes up and goes, "You're right, Whitney," and then she kisses him.
Yeah. When any man, although this, you could argue, I think it should be argued that this is right to make this as a character trait for Whitney, because her whole life, from being a teenager, she's always depended on a man being nice to her. And
she's getting into the Cat Slater territory for me, though.
Right.
Where it's her only character trait is this abuse that she's had.
Yeah, but it's constant abuse. That's the point.
That is with Whitney.
Again and again and again. Whitney's getting, no pun intended, but whittled down, and she's just kind of slowly
I've seen a lot of
giving in.
people online say, like the female characters on EastEnders are never allowed to process and get over their grief, where the male characters are. And I thought it was interesting because, like, Kathy, like, her only storyline, every time they give her a storyline, it's Wilmot Brown.
Yeah.
Or they bring up her rape or whatever.
They have to keep bringing it up and reminding her that it happened. Even other characters kind of use it as a weakness to Kathy. So they say, oh, you wouldn't know. And also when Kathy faked her own death, which wasn't her fault. She was told.
Which always gets brought up.
But they always bring it up as if it was ultimately Kathy's fault in the end.
So I thought that was interesting. I thought that kind of applies to Whitney because she's never allowed to forget that this happened to her as a character.
Yeah.
And again, it's brought up now where someone said online, like, you know how Kat goes, she sleeps with someone when she has a bad thing, she goes, oh, I'm just a slag. Like, Whitney's thing is, oh, I'm a dirty girl. Like, she always does that. And
I deserve to be used by men.
And someone's basically saying, I can guarantee in the next few weeks, well, if there was more weeks to show, that Whitney would say that about herself, about Gray. And it's like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense to me, actually. These characters aren't ever allowed to move on from being abused. Like, they can never seem to move on and do something else. Like, the only exception, I guess, is Ruby has been able to do that.
That's it.
Successfully.
And I said earlier on the podcast, she's the only strong character. She's risen to the top. She's kind of been able to struggle her way up. To, not even struggle, to be fair. She's
arranging phone calls with Martin and all sorts.
She's hooking up and all kinds of stuff. But she's the new Ruby Red. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting for me that because there was a part of me that thought that would this, especially since Gray had, before that scene happened when Whitney kissed him, he had that argument with Chantelle and said he didn't believe her when he looked at his tracker on the car.
Oh, yeah, the car is in the Archers.
Yeah, which Dotty spotted. So yet another thing, Dotty has some dirt on someone.
Yeah, I would like Dotty to take revenge on him.
I would like Dotty to be the one who finds out about Chantelle and Gray, because I think she'd be the kind of character who would be able to give it. Good, would be able to fight for Chantelle. Would be able
the
to
nick
fight
in
for
her will come out.
Yeah.
When I was watching that scene when she noticed that Gray was a bit off with Chantelle in the Archers, sometimes my mind wanders off when I'm watching EastEnders when it's not, like, Jags turns up, for example. So I start thinking, and I had like a flash moment of Whitney, Dotty, Chantelle, 3 women being involved in the cover-up of Gray, and they're using the Archers as a place to keep the body.
Maybe he could be hit by a blunt instrument.
Yeah. And I thought, actually, there'll be reminiscence of Chrissy, Zoe and Sam, and Chantelle would be the weak... You'd think Chantelle would be the weak one, but maybe Whitney's fragile state will make her feel guilty, so she'll be like the Sam Mitchell where she wanted to tell everyone about Den, and Dotty will be like Chrissy, the one who's trying to keep it all hunted together. But that would be good.
But the problem is that if you're going to do that story, that means one of those 3 would have to ultimately be the killer, and so would then have to be written out of the show after manipulation.
Chantelle.
You want Chantelle to be...
I don't want her out of those. Or Dotty.
I think Chantelle would be the easiest one because they could justify it. It could be justified for why because of the years and years and years of constant abuse. Yeah. So it's not right to kill someone, but it's justified by that.
I just want 3 women covering up a murder, basically.
And 3 strong women, 3 women that could then rise to be the cream on the...
And that could be a way of rising Whitney's characters to like an iconic moment. Like you think of some characters and they have their moment, which they're kind of remembered for. That could be a bit of Whitney's, maybe, because her killing Leo could have been, but it wasn't.
I mean, it's kind of heading to that now you said it, because obviously Whitney kissed Gray, but what if Gray did decide to take it further? Then there's that jealousy, but Whitney could then argue if Gray then starts manipulating, God help us, but if Gray then does start manipulating Whitney, she could then, with conversation with Chantelle, they realise that Gray is ultimately the one who's manipulating all 3 women, Dotty, Chantelle and Whitney.
And also you could factor in Karat sniffing around Chantelle a bit, so that could bring in stepmum Suki to save the day.
Oh yeah,
leave it with me, girls. Grab my cardigan. And
I was going to say, get me my cardigan. This is my business cardigan. I'm on it.
So, there's lots of possibilities of all these storylines, which is quite exciting.
It is. And I mean, you don't want to... The thing is that you don't want to almost have that story to trivialise the Chantelle and Gray story.
No, because it does need to go into more places now, because it's been the same scene like since September. You're
right, but at the same time, abuse doesn't tend to escalate. It tends to just carry on unnoticed.
Every other storyline EastEnders goes about a mile a minute, and then this one doesn't.
But it's like they're waiting for something. They've kind of put it into park, and they're just kind of waiting for something something to bubble it. I mean, your idea for that story, I'm completely on board, and I would love to see it. A retake of the Chrissy,
or Dotty could be the one who accidentally is involved, and then she then realises that what Ian did to Dennis wasn't that bad, so she decides not to reveal it all, but then something happens and it does get revealed. So it's all sorts of crossovers.
This is the thing, isn't it? If we're having Dotty involved, basically allows for a lot of stories to have one big reveal. If you think about it, it's leading to a big reveal. So, and I don't think the writers are daft. I think they've realised this. They've realised that this Dotty character is kind of like being sprinkled a little bit here and sprinkled a little bit there.
She's on Peter, she's on Ruby, she's with Rainie.
Going
all over
the
show,
with Rainie now. Is something going to happen with her and Max? It's like, you don't know what's going to happen. And she's after the Archers as well, so you could say that she's
not after that anymore, is she? Or is she?
I think she still wants it.
Does she?
Because they're still selling it, aren't they? They're still up for sale.
Is it?
Well, they haven't
the Archers?
They haven't said otherwise. Ben and Phil said they would put up for sale.
Oh, I can't remember.
So there's nothing to say that it's happening otherwise. And who knows? And they're making good business. Gray's a constant client.
Well, yes, and that was a bit annoying when he was blaming Chantelle because he has a tracker in his car, and she was like, "Well, the car was at the Archers," and he just ignored what she said and was like, "No."
Yeah,
it's like, well, great, that's an actual answer.
Yeah, but he doesn't trust Chantelle at all, especially now that she seems to be doing all this work for Karat and Suki, and it's you know what I mean. He's like the trust he had for her.
Yeah, the little anyway.
With the little trust is kind of it's been demolished even more because now he thinks that Chantelle, her job with the call centre means more to her than...
They haven't even got their computers yet.
They must have them by now. They've got a security system.
She was collecting them, wasn't she?
What are they using? Calculators?
God knows.
Like an old dial-up phone. Yeah, so for Gray, his relationship is the be and end all. Even his solicitor work really doesn't... It's just a means to an end. It's just to get money to keep the family together. While Chantelle, she likes this independent life away from the family, and Gray doesn't like that very much. Which is going right back to my original point, which is why I was a bit surprised to see that Gray didn't take the kiss with Whitney a bit further, almost as a revenge
He pulled
kiss.
away straight away, didn't he?
And he said, "Oh, no, this is perfect. This is just business, nothing more.
It will never go further." Well, do you believe that?
I don't. That's the thing. Ultimately, I think that Chantelle's going to do something that's going to upset him again.
Yeah, and Whitney will be there for him.
But Whitney will be there. Instead of him hitting Chantelle, Whitney will then be there instead, and then he'll use that as an excuse. But, I mean, is Whitney going to ultimately then see his abusive side too? It's going to come out eventually.
More abuse for Whitney. I found it interesting as well how they had Linda tell him about Lee hitting her.
Yeah.
And that Gray now knows. So is Gray going to use it as
with a plead bargain, isn't it? It's like she's had...
But he obviously hits Chantelle, but he was disgusted that Lee had done it to Whitney.
It's a case.
So is that going to be like if they have like an affair or whatever? Is he going to be like,
oh,
she's been abused before,
so she could be abused further?
Yeah, maybe some weird, twisted, horrible thing.
Maybe what a tangled web.
A lot of things that could be going on.
Poor Linda. After she admitted that to Gray, I did feel. If you listen to our award ceremony, Kelly Bright won Best Actress, and rightly so. I mean, for me, Kelly Bright this week actually stole the week.
Yeah, she had a little thing with Phil as well.
Scene with Phil when she was having her meeting, and Phil was like, "Did you know about Caden? Yes, get out." but when she said the line to him about Sharon, it's like, you can never tear away a mother's love from her child as much as you will try. It will never happen.
Just ask Peggy.
Absolutely, yes, exactly.
That's what Phil needs. Aunt Sal phone calls or something,
or the ghost of Peggy.
Yeah, he needs someone to just
the ghost of Pat. She's still there in that house.
Oh yeah, she's in the house.
Yeah, she's just lingering. I'd love it if you just had Phil sat on the sofa on his own and he just goes, "What's that smell of smoke?" I'd love Pat to come back and give him some wisdom. Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Right, so the last storyline is our Dotty. Peter.
Yes, yeah.
Pete Bill's personal training. PBPT.
PBPT. It's a new trend.
They had a lovely fitness group going together, didn't they?
I mean, they literally just basically went into the dressing room where everyone's just hanging around. Yeah. Who wants to be in this scene? It's like school when you're like doing amateur dramatics. It's like, right, kids, we've got a scene all set up for you all.
Because it was Ash, Ikra, Habiba, Jags turned up, Dotty and Peter.
Who'd have thought Jags was the fittest as well? They've been portraying Jags as this overweight, obsessed with food,
miracle
buffoon. And then what should happen? He's the fastest. He beat Peter. For heaven's sake.
He did.
But I did love the fact that all the women in that personal training group were like at the end of their PT training, which was literally a 5-mile run around the square. They were all exhausted, sweating, like they were red in the face and on the chest. They had a real hard time. But the men, Peter and Jags, it was easy. It was a breeze.
Peter's the trainer, so he's
not even a bead of sweat.
Fit. No, he's very
not
fit.
even a bead of sweat.
Well, he only has to take 2 steps for every 10 for everyone else.
Yeah, he leaps. He literally leaps buildings.
And Jags is a medical marvel, Ash said. And Habiba even said he's got very good stamina, which we all know what that means.
Remind us of that. At least I think we've gone past the time period where Habiba could be pregnant. I
don't know.
No, please, no. She was wearing tight leggings.
And
I think
when the show comes back in September, she'll have a bump.
No, we don't need a Jabiba baby.
No, we don't. But Peter and Dotty's relationship kind of grew this week. Because the last time they spoke to each other, he said, "Don't ever speak to me or my family ever again."
And he meant it. He put his fist down hard on that table as he said it.
And then one of his cards wasn't working very well, so he went crawling back to her and asked her to look under his bonnet.
Ooh,
And Ruby kind of gave her a bit of advice, saying, if it's there, just go for it. Why not?
Yeah.
And then she whipped out her phone and went, "Martin, you've been a naughty boy. Meet me in the office."
Can we just talk about Ruby and Martin? Because I think this is the only opportunity we're going to be able to bump it in. Oh, I love Ruby and Martin. And you said that with so much feigned excitement.
No, I do.
I love Ruby and Martin.
Yeah.
We've been championing Ruby and Martin. Yeah, there's true chemistry there. Like their sex, the time they slept together was hot. Like that scene was hot. Let's be honest, it was the hottest scene of the year. Whew.
Well, there's Billy and Karen coming up, so that could take the biscuit.
No,
they do have very good chemistry together. I mean, him and James Bay and Lacey Turner have very good chemistry, but it's different chemistry. Whereas him and Louisa Lighton are just like sizzling, especially now Max is out of the picture.
Yeah.
It's all going off, but she's just, she's commanding him this, commanding him that.
I don't think she is, though. I don't think she's being bossy. What I mean is I don't think
she's giving him a disciplinary. I don't think
it's S&M of any sort. I don't think it's like you're going to find them like Martin in like a leather dog mask and her in a
Dark
dominatrix whip.
We'll get him back into shape. That will.
Yeah,
Dark
that's true.
Martin.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of exercise happening with Ruby and Martin, but I think that it's a mutual respect for one another, which is what Sonia and Martin never had. Sonia never respected Martin. He was always just a kind of like almost like Michelle and
an
Lofty.
Everyday man, yeah.
You know what I mean? He was there.
An Arthur Fowler.
Yeah, he was there for her. She married him because he was reliable. He had a reliable job.
Yeah.
Well,
same with Stace as well.
Oh, yes.
Stace kind of saw him as
that's what I mean.
Oh, Martin Fowler, yeah.
That's exactly what I mean. And I think for Martin and Ruby, there's a mutual respect for one another there, and I think they do. I think they hook up really well for me.
They do. They are good. I enjoy them together.
But Peter and Dotty, for me, it's kind of like it's kind of just an excuse to kind of give Ian a little bit more peril about Dotty knowing that he locked Dennis in the
and
cabin.
Bobby like getting upset or whatever.
Yeah. Because Bobby was just a passing mention, wasn't he? Again this week, it was like Bobby.
He is in it next week, which is the same week or whatever. But
that's true.
I'm still waiting for something about Peter. I don't know, like his line. Is it? I don't know if it's his character or the way the actor's playing him, but he's just very like he's kind of just there and he just says his lines, and I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any oomph behind him.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any personality.
No, like he tried to make a little joke for like half a second, but it still fell flat. And it was like, oh.
I think the problem is that because we've got this perception of Peter Beale from Peter Beales in the past, especially the most recent one before the one we have now, and and you just can't. For me, you can't attach that perception onto the current Peter Beale. So it's like they've literally started again with him. A bit like what they did with Ben Mitchell. When he first came on, his personality and his traits were almost
polar opposite
of the Ben Mitchell that left the soap 6-8 months prior to the new one coming in being introduced.
And this Peter's been gone for like 4 years, so like there should be more to him. Like, what has he done the past 4 years?
Yeah.
What really happened with Lauren? Like, you still don't know. Like, she was poor and getting money from Jack, and
I've got a horrible feeling. Sorry to anyone Jack and Joss are fans out there, but I've got a horrible feeling that they're deliberately not mentioning Lauren because they're
waiting for her to say yes.
They're waiting to see if Jacqueline Joss will say yes to come back.
Like, he's not mentioned Louis. Like, I don't know, there's lots of things where he's been on there for a while, but you don't really. He's just a personal trainer and sells a car, and he looks like the casting looks wise is really good. He looks like a Bill. Yeah, but that's about it. Like, there's nothing else to say, and him and Dotty getting together is just.
Well, it's a plot device.
It's more plot device, and it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So that's a shame.
It is a shame.
Dotty's really good.
I would much rather if they kept Peter back a bit and kind of you saw the relationship of him building back up with his dad and with Bobby
and Kath
and Kathy. In fact, that's the way to build up the Bills. I think they need to build up internally rather than externally. And I suppose with the lockdown, unfortunately, because of the stories that are going on, although actually to be fair, I don't think any external stories would interfere with this. You could easily do a Bill week. Don't you think you could do you could do a full week of Kathy, Ian? Don't you think Kathy, Ian, Bobby, and Peter, and it's just 4 episodes of them sorting themselves out again? And I think that rush, that sudden story of them for 2 hours, almost like a feature film.
And you know how to open the Monday episode, the Bill week in lockdown.
Kathy saying there's breakfast on the table.
No.
In a dub,
because they're in lockdown. They've been bored. They're sorting out the house. Kathy comes down, loads of photos.
There we go.
That's how they start it.
Ian already got old photos out when he was talking to Sharon. So there's
some
loads
photos
of
Lou, some photos of Pauline, Arthur, and then one of Lucy, and then it all kicks off.
I think it would be a very brave and adventurous. For me, that's more of an iconic episode than doing Ben Mitchell did a mob job and couldn't hear for half an hour. For me, to go back to family, make it character-based plot.
Family means everything. That's the catchphrase.
Absolutely. Do it. A 2-hour Bill episode.
One episode focused solely in Kathy's bedroom on her own because she's shielding, and we just follow Kathy.
Because she's elderly. You're so mean to Kathy.
She's 70. She's shielding.
If they desperately need to introduce like a few outside characters here and there, like Dotty or something like that,
through the window.
Well, perhaps they needed to get an extra supplies of jam or something, and so they asked someone from the square to go get them for them, a younger one for them. But yeah, they could all be self-shielding and self-isolating, and it's basically a crash course of basically learning what's happened to the Bills up until this point and how they are with relation to one another. And I think that would just be a nice fresh way of then just putting them back onto the square with stories with everyone else, because you then know the background of it. What happened with Lauren and Louis? What happened with Bobby in prison? Why does Ian trust Bobby still, really, or does Ian just say it just to appease her mum?
Also Bobby and Peter as well.
Yeah, Bobby and Peter's relationship,
fractured relationship. Yeah,
Kathy, she could, is she concerned that her family is falling apart around her? Or is she concerned about Ian's obviously interest into Sharon again? It writes itself.
It does, but sadly, it didn't make it to screen.
Well, it might do though.
Yeah, it might. We never know. We don't know what's coming up.
The only problem is that I think the EastEnders writers have said that they don't want to do anything. They don't want to link to the lockdown.
No, they're still going to reference it, aren't they? But it's not going to involve storylines.
But what a great way to just smack in the introduction. Series 2 of EastEnders.
But Emmerdale's done it recently, and that didn't go down very well. Apparently, it was really boring.
But for me, I don't think Emmerdale have strong characters that could do it.
No.
Marlon Dingle was the one, wasn't it, I think, with his fiancée? Like, if you think about it, Bobby Bill, Ian Bill, Peter Bill and Kathy Bill, all the Bills, all in that house together. There must be over
a lot of history there.
100 years of history there. There is, though.
70 of them being just Kathy.
Exactly. But that's all there. There's a family history, past, present, and future that can be developed on in a feature-length episode.
Right, that's that. I mean, there's not much more to say about Dotty and Peter's storyline, which is why we were fabricating fake storylines. So we're going to go on now to everyone's comments about what they thought about the week.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
As per, I'm down with the kids. We end the podcast with your comments and your answers to our question of the week on our social media, on our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook group. And also going to read out a few comments throughout what we had people send us this week as well, because we've
lovely.
Quite a bit of interaction this week. So I'm going to start off with the question of the week, though, which was, if you could add a final scene to the last episode next week, what cliffhanger would you like to see and why?
Gosh.
Do you have an opinion? I'd like an Ian Bill.
I don't know. I would probably add in something like Stacey and Kat doing something. I don't know.
What, returning?
Because we know that they're all Kim or some people we know are returning but haven't returned.
Yeah.
Maybe add in something like that, like a little anonymous line about something, but no one knows what it is. But you could spend a few weeks guessing.
Yeah, there'll be lots of speculation online and people just be to and fro with it.
Meant.
Well, a lot of people actually have much more definitive answers to this.
They had time to think, I didn't.
That's true. Sydney Dumphy on our Facebook group has said Sharon finds out about Ian and Dotty's situation and stabs Ian. What? The police let her off because everyone is glad he's gone.
Oh, so he dies?
Yeah, apparently.
No.
You can't kill off Ian.
No.
Not Ian, Sydney. Not Ian. Ron Monterio has said after the credits, there will be a black screen, appears with the words 4 months later. It cuts to a series of quick shots of hands undoing the locks and bolts of the Vic door. The hands grab the knobs of the door and pulls it open. Cut to a front view of the Vic. Simon Wicks walks out of the door and says, "We're back in business."
Ooh, that'd be sexy.
You'd like Simon Wicks back, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Why not?
I have to say there was a lot of people who said related to the Vic. Yeah.
Maybe you could have Linda says, "So Sharon, you had another DNA test done, did you, about Caden to see if it is Phil's?" And then Sharon says that they came back, it is Keanu's, and then you see the paper and it says Dad is Phil Mitchell. So that Dad is Phil Mitchell, right? But because he's been horrible to her, she's going to pretend still that it's not his. There you go.
Well, relating to that then, because if Sharon doesn't say, and this is a very dark end. Potter_stuff says on Instagram, Phil suffocates Caden with a teddy bear. Oh, God. That's really dark.
Yeah, no, not doing.
It's never going to happen. But I mean, linking to what you just said, that Sharon finds out that he is the dad, but doesn't tell Phil. Yeah. Then he does maybe something not on purpose, accidentally on purpose to Caden, and then when they're in hospital, Sharon shouts, "He's yours!"
That thing you keep saying. That thing. He's a Mitchell.
Yeah, he's a true Mitchell.
He's not two Taylor. I'd be like,
yeah, never two, baby, never two Mitchell. Dean_M_S on Instagram says, a tube crashing into the side of the Vic and the viaduct collapses. That's very Coronation Street.
Plus too much budget for social distancing.
Yeah, but it's the last episode of the week. Last episode in a long time. Surely they can blow the budget on something like that.
Well, no, they wouldn't better film it though, would they?
At WCW Lion on our Twitter says, the last scene should be in the Vic. Almost everybody is there, and Mick says that there is a new owner coming. It's very loud, and everyone thinks it's Phil, but the door opens and duff breaks. So you don't find out. You just know that they're
that would be a good one.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
At Clerky on Twitter says, a deadly disaster is long overdue in order to clear out some dead wood. The likes of Peter, Dotty and the male Panissers just aren't working for me. And if Max tragically died, that's fine too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not exactly a tonic for 2020, but that would make me feel better.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, that would
kind of... Dotty, maybe not, but sacrifices have to be made, so...
That'll kind of soften the edges of this really horrible year that everyone's been involved with. Just a couple more then on our Facebook group, where Cindy Calloway, Billy is planning on moving himself and his kids into Karen's, so all live happily like the Brady Bunch. But who comes walking out of Walford Station? None other than little Mo and her son Freddie. Billy stops in his tracks. He's stunned and his foundation is shaken as he has never forgotten his first wife. Freddie's a bad 'un, just like his rapist father, and as a teenager is ready to wreak havoc on the square. And she's saying that could replace what Dennis could have been. That's not a bad shout, actually.
Yeah, because he'd be about 16, 17 now, wouldn't he? Replace Hunter.
Yeah. Nice one, Cindy.
Although Little Mo should have a nice son, because she's been through enough.
Yeah, but Little Mo is the ultimate in downtrodden character that never saw the light. I mean, and it's a good, like you say, it's a good age, so it kind of takes over Hunter and Dennis's place. I like that. I like that a lot. Jared Porikos. Again, I'm sorry if I apologise if I say your name wrong. Lauren shows up to Max, American Horror Story, Madison style, and says, "Surprise, bitch. I bet you thought you've seen the last of me."
Yeah, I did.
That would be epic.
No. No.
Okay.
Maybe Louise Mitchell, if you have to have someone, but not Lauren.
The final one on our Facebook group from Shauna Askew says, instead of a slapfest in the Vic, like usual, there will be a big fight in the minute mark for the last pack of toilet paper, leading to a future lockdown episode when the show returns.
God, going back a bit, old toilet paper.
It's for me, I mean, I don't know, should they not reference as the last scene that maybe showed like the speech Boris Johnson made,
lockdown.
Saying we're going into lockdown?
Yeah.
So then it kind of...
Right. We'll continue this later.
Yeah. And again, they need... there's no excuse they can't do this. At the end of the episode, when the credits have rolled, they need to then fade to black and then put on the screen to be continued. Just so the viewers know that this isn't the end. And I think it's a nice little kind of cheeky nod as well. It's kind of like, wink, to be continued.
Yeah, well, not long to wait and we'll find out.
No. I guess not. One last comment that I just want to read out on our Twitter.
I thought the last was the last.
Well, I mean, this is the last comment based on another thing. I basically, we post on Twitter all the time while EastEnders is broadcast live in the UK. And at Zubaida_Ula commented to us and said, I was moved by Phil's my boy moment. Denny was his adopted son for years, and the death of the child is heartbreaking. I agree his pain is compounded by his desertion of Denny and the partial responsible for his death, but we know Ian is the real culprit.
No, he's not.
No?
No.
But
no, I don't agree with any of that.
No, you have to agree with some of that, because I do think that it's compounded by the desertion of Denny, and he blames himself.
Phil didn't give a toss about Denny for months before he died. It's only now he's dead he cares.
Okay.
They didn't show us that on screen.
Well,
he was ready to trail off to Portugal with Louise and Ben in tow, and he's like, Denny will catch up.
Well, how about this then? How about...
I thought that was the last comment.
No, I'm going to carry on now. This is interesting. At Northbound24 says, it's clear to me all of Phil's development is linked to Dennis's death. Remember when he was determined to face criminal charges for the boat crash until Ben interfered?
Well, if Phil really admits that, he should go back to the police and say it was him.
Okay.
Also, why did he steal money from a heist if he's a good boy now?
That's true. And just a opposite opinion, at Melanie_W says, I feels super guilty, but not enough to take Sharon back. But she is asking for a lot from him.
She needs to move on. Sharon needs to move on.
Sharon Watts.
Yes.
Remember that. Strong name, Watts. You can get in touch with us whenever you like on our Twitter and on Instagram. We're under at Walford Weekly, or you can join our Facebook group, which is Walford Weekly Podcast. Search for it on Facebook and then click to join. As I say every week, it's a really cool group. Really fun. Mm-hmm. We also have a YouTube channel. Again, if you search Walford Weekly, you can find all our videos on there. We put original content on there every week. There's a quiz on there at the moment, which I reckon you should all join in. We played some of the games from the podcast on there. We did. That was live, but it doesn't matter. You can still join in. Let us know how you get on with the scores. But there's also videos of Sharon Watts on The Sims 4. There's character profiles, all kinds of stuff on there. Lots and lots and lots and lots.
Yeah, so we're carrying them on every Sunday during EastEnders break.
We certainly are. And don't forget, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to give us a rating if you enjoyed the show, and also a comment, just because every rating and comment gets us seen by more people, and everyone can hopefully enjoy the content too.
Make sure you listen next week, because it'll be our review of the series final.
Oh my goodness, a season final.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for listening. Take care of one another, and goodbye.
Goodbye.